It's going down. Shalom. First and foremost, giving all praises, honor, glory, respect, and blessings to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rachakwadash. Salutations to the Lord's elect on the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth and sincerity while patiently waiting for Yahweh Shai's return. And double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, which have taught us everything we know through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. And welcome to another series of It's Going Down, being brought to you by the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. Why are armed Americans operating in the trenches of eastern Ukraine? And as you can see right here in the picture, as you can see, there is U.S. American forces operating in the eastern trenches of Ukraine. So for those who don't know, now you know why Russia is using Moscow to send troops into Ukraine. You know, they call it a invasion, but wait a minute though. This incursion started with the United States going into Ukraine and causing chaos, causing people to riot against the government, this, that, fourth, and the other, which then sparked a whole bunch of controversy between Russia and the United States. You see, Russia does not want the United States in Ukraine. Okay, they know what the United States is aiming for. America is using an incursion in Ukraine because they ultimately want to take over Ukraine and have more influence over Ukraine than Russia. Because if the United States has more influence in Ukraine than Russia, then that means that the United States can justify themselves in setting up garrisons and military bases in Ukraine. And if that happens, that would what? That would give the United States a strategical advantage against Russia. Now, do you really think Russia wants that to happen? You think Russia wants to have a strategical? No, they don't. And that is why Russia is sending troops into Ukraine, because they really want to chase out these United States troops that are operating in Ukraine. It says war-hungry armed foreigners, which is the United States, in combat clothing, are glamoring the conflict in Donbass. Staccato bursts of gunfire, silence, darkness, beeping flash explosion, dramatic music, indistinct yelling, volleys of artillery, the shadows, jet fume, special forces operating in the dead of night, all put on display in the social media accounts of Forward Observations Group's FOG, which appear to be uncontrollable oases of military. You see the word right there. So let's get to the point. The conflict, often described as frozen between government forces and separatists, which the only separatists here in this situation is really the United States, because they want to separate Ukraine and they want to separate Ukraine from Russian influence. It says, the conflict, often described as frozen between government forces and separatists in the region known as the Donbass, flared up in 2014 after violent street protests led to the Ukrainian government being overthrown. Who's responsible for that? The United States. Okay, and this is not only due to United States sanctions. This is due to the United States hiring CIA operatives to operate behind the scenes in these governments to cause to cause what? Economic hitmans. Well, basically the CIA, because the CIA, which operates for the United States government, they're responsible for sending out economic hitmans, financial hitmans, setting, causing radicalism in a country, causing extremism in a country, which ultimately leads to what? People protesting and rioting against the government and wanting a new president. So we already know if people want a new president, who do you think is going to take office? If the United States successfully sets up a puppet president in Ukraine, doesn't that give the United States more influence in Ukraine over Russia? So this is what the United States has been trying to do for a long time, and they've been using the CIA to infiltrate the Ukrainian government, the Ukrainian regime, to stir up chaos. Agent provocateurs. It says Kiev sent troops to parts of Russian-speaking Donetsk and Luhansk regions which refuse to recognize the new regime. The conflict had stalled by March 2015. However, sporadic fighting there has been occurring ever since. In recent months, Western leaders have been speculating that Moscow, now when they say Western leaders, they're talking about the United States, have been speculating, which has been accused of controlling the separatists, is so they're accusing Moscow, right, of controlling the separatists. But wait a minute, is not the United States, are not they the ones trying to control the narrative here? Is planning an all-out offensive against its neighbor. The allegations are based on the purported buildup of Russian troops close to the border. The Kremlin has repeatedly denied the accusations. At this point, it's safe to say that both the United States and Russia are playing mind games here. And you people in Ukraine, you're just pawns. The United States and Ukraine began delivering lethal aid to Ukraine last week in an effort to thwart supposed Russian aggression. Almost 100 tons of lethal aid, including ammunition intended for the frontline defenders of Ukraine, were delivered on January 22nd, the United States Embassy in Kiev said. Given the circumstances, a string of photos from Donbass showing a group of Americans in combat gear holding firearms cannot have gone unnoticed. Forward observations, which apparently consist mostly of former American servicemen, came into the spotlight after Russian military-related social media communities started discussing their bravado over being in the conflict zone. Men with stars and stripes shared pictures of themselves, faces blurred, as they arrived in Severodonetsk. This is where the 53rd Separate Mechanized Brigade of the Ukrainian Ground Forces is deployed. It apparently includes EX fighters from the currently non-existent infamous Volunteer Aidar Battalion, which was staffed by right-wing individuals often described as neo-Nazis by the media. And who knows, these guys could also be agent provocateurs. And as you can see, their faces are blurred out there. These could be agent provocateurs being used to stir up chaos in Ukraine. The point here is that controversy is being stirred up over there in the country. Okay, Either way it goes, everything that we see happening over here in Ukraine, it's really no more than prophecy being fulfilled. Matthew 24, verse 6, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. Okay, we're hearing about wars and rumors of wars and acts of wars. An act of war. Okay, it says, see that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So the end is not yet. But these wars and act of wars is going to continue, man. With that, I'm going to say, Shalom is on to the next one.